Hey everyone, this is your friendly neighborhood personal trainer, who else but Tommy else. If you enjoy this special presentation of the Trippi Coaching Podcast here on the CB3 Live Network, please head over to the Trippi Coaching Podcast channel and subscribe for more episodes aimed at helping you achieve your own ultimate health and wellness goals. You can also find the Trippi Coaching Podcast on Facebook. Follow us for exclusive show-related content. And here's to a healthier, more confident you.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Trippi Coaching Podcast. Today we're diving into a topic that's affecting so many of us right now, and that's political stress. We all know the political landscape can feel overwhelming, and during election seasons, it can get even more intense. Whether it's social media debates, constant news cycles, or conversations with friends and family, political stress can creep into our daily lives and affect us in ways we might not even realize. But here's the thing, you don't have to let it take over your mind or your health. Today we're going to talk about how political stress impacts our bodies, what you can do to protect your mental health, and how to navigate tricky political conversations in a healthy way without losing your peace. So let's jump in. Are you a busy woman struggling to find time to focus on your health? Well, we've got something that'll fit right into your schedule, and it's completely free. Introducing the No Time, No Problem, the 7-day weight loss reset for the busy professional woman, designed just for women on the go. This reset is packed with quick, simple tips to kickstart your weight loss, boost your energy, and help you feel confident, all without counting calories and spending hours upon hours at the gym. The best part? It's effortless and fits right into your busy life. So if you're ready to get started, head to the show notes and grab your free download. No time, no problem. This reset has you covered. What's up, Tommy?
Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good.
You know, before we jump into today's conversation, I've got to give you some credit for what we're about to discuss. Tommy and I were chatting the other day, and he brought up something that really hit home about, all this political noise that we're constantly surrounded by and how it's affecting not just our minds, but our bodies too. And honestly, you're spot on. You completely opened my eyes to how much stress we're all carrying around, and even without realizing it, especially during those heated political seasons. So I'm really excited to dig into this conversation with you and talk about how we can protect ourselves from that stress. So why don't you take it away, Tommy?
So this is something that I've seen for years, but it's especially prevalent right now, obviously, during election season. People who are just so stressed and worried and afraid for what may happen if their candidate doesn't win. This is something that is a problem on both sides equally. I have a pretty 50-50 split in my clientele as far as like their political loyalties. And so I hear both sides all the time. And I hear a lot of the same stuff coming from both sides, both politically and from the stress standpoint. But I was talking with somebody, and just the thought of their candidate not winning, really, it brought them to tears. And really, I could see like the despair in their eyes. And I thought to myself, I was like, wow, I'm like, if it's hitting them this hard and we haven't even had the election, like what if their candidate doesn't win? Right. How are they going to get through the next 4 years? Right. And that's a scary thing, because that affects you in a lot of ways. And we're going to talk about that. Your political beliefs are rooted in your faith, family, finances, life experiences. Politics bring out passion, and politics do matter. Decisions are made at the local, state, and federal levels, which heavily affect your day-to-day lives. So when you are talking about your political stance, you're talking about something that has a very direct impact on who you are and what you believe in. So with that level of passion behind it, when you encounter somebody who is on the opposite side of it, it seems like a threat to the things that you want for your life. And I think that's where it starts developing into that anxiety and that depression that might come if things don't go your way. It's tough because even if you're aware that politics can bring that out in you, it's hard to avoid it because it's absolutely everywhere, especially during an election cycle. So, I know people who they can't stand to see their neighbor's flag, sign in their yard, bumper sticker. It's like every time they look out the window, it's something that can get them angry and anxious multiple times a day. And it's like if you're a recovering alcoholic and you're driving down the street and there's a bar every three places.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like even if you're trying, it can be very hard. So I want to talk a little about the negatives that are impacting people on account of this. Okay? There's too many people who are devoting too many hours in front of 24/7 political coverage, being on X and Facebook and other social media, getting into arguments with people, just if you just are an observer and don't interact with it, seeing the negativity between people, sometimes between friends, sometimes between people you don't even know, but yet you still have a passionate fervor for it, and it gets you all worked up. Over 40% of Americans feel that this current presidential race is quote unquote depressing. Like that's their description for this. That's almost half of America.
That's awful.
Okay. Also, 40% of Americans have said that politics is a source of significant insomnia, anxiety, stress, depression, and suicidal thoughts. I mean, that's bad. 40%, and some of them are having suicidal thoughts. When it comes to the insomnia, they said about 1 in 5 Americans lose sleep over politics. More than 20% have let politics damage their family relationships and friendships. It's tough because if you're, at that Thanksgiving dinner and you're with people who are your family, but you're on opposite ends of your beliefs when it comes to politics, some people are able to avoid it and just shut it down and not to talk about it. They usually say politics and religion, not at the table, not at the table,
not
right?
at the Thanksgiving table, at least.
But it doesn't always work that way. So one of the things, and this is where we really get into the health aspect of this whole thing, both your physical and your emotional health. This anxiety and depression that this causes people leaves them looking for something to give them some sort of distraction to it. And unfortunately, too many people turn to things like drinking, drugs, risky sex, emotional eating. Emotional eating is something that we already deal with a lot here on the show and everything and with our clients. And I know people that emotional eating is their way of coping with anxiety and depression. And here's a source of it. Okay. And again, one that's very hard to get away from. I mean, just being in that state of emotional duress like that, it's going to make your just daily life difficult to deal with because you've got this thing in the back of your head that you can't shake. If you're someone who's in school, they've said that people who are in school missing work, late assignments, they have a real hard time focusing on the class and the tasks at hand because they're distracted with what's going on politically in the world. Unfortunately, with the drama and contentiousness of the current political landscape, along with its prevalence in the media and in conversations, it's unlikely that it's going away anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about ways that you can work through this if this is something that you find yourself being affected by. So let's go through a few of them here. So this is a good opportunity to distract yourself from this in a healthy way rather than going through, say, drugs and alcohol or any of that sort of stuff. Rather than do that, focus on working on a healthy diet, getting good sleep, exercise, time outdoors, hobbies, anything that's engaging or relaxing and gets your mind off of things. And therapists have said that some of their clients feel guilty for indulging in self-care when there is so much suffering in the world that's going on, and that suffering is stressing them out. And I understand that, and it's great to have that compassion, but it gets back to the whole, you can't help anybody if you don't take care of yourself first. Absolutely. Thing, So that's why prioritizing your self-care is important. It's good. It's good for you. It gives you a distraction, makes you feel better, And then if you do want to do anything about some of the suffering in the world, you'll have the power to be able to do something. The next one would be reframing your thinking. So this can be kind of tough, but if you're open-minded to it, give it a chance. This is really just kind of looking at talking with someone who's got an alternate view than you do of your political beliefs. They might think something different than you, and trying to just take into account why they feel that way. How does what they're talking about affect them? And maybe you can understand their reasoning, even if you don't agree with it. And it's okay to. It's okay to just hear them out, let them have their opinion. You're not going to change their mind. They're not going to change yours.
Correct.
And that's the thing. At the end of the day, all the fighting and the arguing is a lot of wasted energy and causes a lot of pain between people. Setting boundaries is a big one. Not only is it okay, but it's very healthy for you to set limits on when and whom you discuss political issues with. So if you know that you're going to be around someone who doesn't have the same political inclinations as you do, if you know that you can be around them and not talk politics, then great. And that's good. I mean, that's a healthy relationship. But if you know that it's going to definitely go off when you two see each other, then you need to start considering spending less time with that person, at least for the time being. Or maybe even communicate to them that, let them know, like, look, we're good, but this is something that we can't get into.
Yeah, walk into that conversation or walk into that experience knowing that with some things that you can say that will deflect that whole conversation. Like maybe, I'd rather not discuss politics right now, or I'm focusing on something positive or positive conversations today, just to be armed and ready for when that conversation comes up.
Right. The other is just to be mindful of your media consumption. It's real easy to be scrolling through Facebook and things like that, and you just, an hour goes by of just mindless scrolling, and you're just seeing things that are geared. I mean, there's algorithms out there that are putting things in front of you to try to get you fired up and try to get you all worked up and excited. And you see those that are just kind of random. You also see your friends and other family and things like that and things that they say, and that can be upsetting. For me personally, I don't have a side. I don't have a dog in the fight in any of this, but still just seeing the contention between people stresses me out. It's enough to see that this is even going on stresses me out. So what I had to do is I went through my Facebook friend list, and I didn't unfriend anybody because I'm not going to end a relationship with somebody,
Right.
Or whatever, even though it's social media, over something like this. But I just don't want to see it in my feed. So I unfollow them. So I don't, because if there's someone who's like, because there's some people that I know that it's going to be like all that they post all day long. So I unfollow them, and I'm still friends with them. I can go and check in on their page if I want to. It'll be my own conscious decision to do it, but it's not in my face. And I'll tell you something. I mean, I had to axe a lot of people off, but I really hardly ever see anything political anymore in my feed. And it's nice. It's really nice. The downside to it is that there's people that, other than that, I'd really like to see what's going on. Like, I want to see the pictures of your kids and all the other stuff going on, but it's just not worth the stress that's going to come along with all the other stuff with it. So, anything that you can do that you can trim that down will ease up the stress being put into your life from this. And then lean in on your support network. Again, friends that who are, might be like-minded, or at least be able to understand how you're feeling. If you are feeling a stress or despair or anything about anything really, even beyond politics, but with this in mind, talk with them, and it helps to vent. And then finally, and most importantly, when all else fails, talk to a professional. Yeah. If you're really, really having if you're losing sleep and this is causing problems in your relationships, or you find that you've started drinking or doing something like that just to cope with this, I cannot recommend enough for you to go out and get some help. Go talk to a therapist. I talk to a therapist every single week, good, bad, or otherwise. Therapists are saying that about 87% of their clientele are talking about political stress in their sessions, that this is that regular of an occurrence. You're not alone by any means. There's a lot of people out there, and like I said, it's an equal on all sides. So this is not, about what party you're with, but it's important to just kind of stop and take stock of how much of this stress are you taking in, how much of it can be avoided, and how can you navigate life to make things a little easier on yourself.
All right, Tommy. Well, thank you for that. Political stress is real, and it can affect us mentally, physically, and emotionally. But by setting those boundaries that you talked about and limiting your exposure and focusing on what you can control, you can protect your mental health and stay grounded, even during the stressful political season. So remember, guys, it's okay to step back when things get too intense, and, whether it's unplugging from the news or taking a break from social media or politely exiting a heated conversation, you have the right to protect your peace. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, I hope this helps. And as always, I, of course, have been who else but Tommy else.
And I am Andrea Trippi. And until the next time, here's to a healthier, more confident you.
The Trippi Coaching Podcast is produced and mixed by me. Who else but Tommy else? Theme song provided by Professor Click. Be sure to check him out at ProfessorClick.com. All one word, KLIQ.com. The content provided in the Trippi Coaching Podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional, medical, health, wellness advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Be sure to like, rate, and review the show, and you may hear your review read on a future episode. And follow the Trippi Coaching Podcast on Facebook for exclusive material.